Assalamu alaikum dear students and welcome back. Today we are going to delve into a very important topic, and I would say that this is the most important lecture of the whole semester, because the things that we are going to learn today, they are going to help you out in a very crucial moment of your degree, and that is writing a research paper or doing your final year project. Apart from that, in your real life, in your professional life, once you are done with your degree and you have graduated, when you will enter into the professional industry, into your job sector, into your work sector, there you will realize that research is one of the most important and one of the most key areas of your development as a professional, and then it is one of the highly paid job sectors as well. But if you don't know how to do the research, if you don't know the nitty gritties of the research, then it will be very difficult for you to obtain and then further sustain your position in the work sector. So we will be having 4 to 5 sessions on research paper, on research and writing research papers, and today is you can say the first session where we will talk about the writing process of research. And the generally speaking, the writing process of research paper, it includes the following steps. You can further add on some steps as well. So the first and the most important thing is, whenever you are going to do the research, it is to clarify the assignment, to understand the nature of the topic, to understand the nature of the research, and what kind of research you are going to perform. And then the second important thing is the time management, and then the selection of the topic, and then brainstorming about the topic. Then further you can visit different libraries, and then locating or selecting different sources that you will be using to carry out your research, and then surveying those sources to obtain data, and then to maintain focus on your topic, reading articles, doing the preliminary thesis, developing an outline and drafting the paper, then revising the paper, and then mentioning the sources of the help. Now, apparently speaking, it basically starts from step 11, 11, 12, and 13. So these are the basic, you can say that the general steps of writing a research paper. But obviously, whenever you want to write down a research paper, you just do not sit down on your table, on your study table, and start writing. Before that, you have to do a lot of homework, and today we will be talking about those important aspects as well. Now, the purpose of this lecture is to identify and examine the components which are essential to planning and executing college level, or by college level I mean the undergraduate level, the BS, up to the BS level research writing assignments. And by the end of this lecture, you will be able to identify and conceptualize the essential steps that are involved in the research paper writing process, and you will be able to assess the valuable campus resources to help at various stages of the writing process. And by the end of this lecture, you will be able to use the time management strategies to plan for the successful and timely completion of a research paper project, because most of the times it happens with the students that they are unable to complete their research assignments on time, because they do not sometimes realize the value and the importance of time management. And sometimes they do this because they do not know what is the importance, or what is the significance of time management in their research process. Because sometimes you have some wonderful innovative ideas, but they are not tangible. They may require 10 years for the accomplishment, and obviously a grad student, an undergraduate student cannot have that much time to do the research. So the time management and learning the strategies to manage time, it is also very important. And by the end of this class, you will have some understanding, some idea about the time management strategies as well. Now, generally speaking, the writing process, writing a research paper, it involves three basic steps. The first one is pre-writing, and then the actual writing process, and then the post-writing process. By pre-writing, we means the steps or the procedures or the levels that are there before you actually start writing it, before you start typing it on the keyboard, or before you start writing it on the paper. There are certain steps that you have to achieve, there are certain levels that you have to accomplish before that. And then once you are done with the writing, then there are some post writing procedures, there are some post writing steps that you need to perform, or that you need to go through. Now, as I told you in the first slide, the layout of today's lecture, the first and the most important thing is the clarification of the assignment. Whenever you are provided a task, or whenever you are asked to write an assignment or a research paper or final year project, there is a detailed set of instructions that is issued to you by the institute, by the organization, by the university that you are studying in. So the first and the most important thing is that you have to read the assignment sheet or that set of instructions very carefully. And when you are reading it, when you are going through the set of instructions, you should underline the directional statements, where you are given some directions, where there are some imperatives. So you should underline those important areas, because the imperatives or the directional statements, they expect from you to perform certain actions or do certain things. So you should underline the directional statements, and then you should define, identify, analyze, and if required, you can argue about them as well, with your supervisor, with your teachers. And then the third important thing is that you have to underline the due dates as well, because for research paper, or the final year project or thesis, you will not be given indefinite time. It's not like that you're given a topic and then you can come anytime and discuss it, or submit it. There is always a due date, so you have to underline that. And then you have to identify the evaluation criteria as well. If you are submitting an assignment, or it is a final year project, or a term paper, or even a thesis, so you should know, okay, what is the evaluation criteria. And then accordingly, you can ask questions from the relevant people, from the advisory committee, from the supervisor, from the relevant staff members, from seniors, and whosoever can answer your questions. You should be then asking a lot of questions. Then we move to the time management. And how can you manage the time? Obviously, first of all, you need to write down all the due dates, when you need to submit your first draft, what is the deadline for the proposal submission, what is the deadline for the synopsis submission, the first draft submission, introduction submission. So they will always, the universities or the institutes where you are studying, they'll always give you a breakdown of the due dates. So you have to break down the research process into the steps, okay, and then you have to assign a due date for each step. Let's say you are conducting a research, and that research involves 20 steps. So what you can do is that you can break down those 20 steps into according to different segments of time, and then accordingly you can start working on them. And then you can make a weekly and daily priority lists as well when you wake up in the morning. And that should be, by the way, a routine habit of everyone. When you wake up, you should be having a list of to do's for the day, and then when you're sleeping, you should prepare a list for the coming day, and you should check that what was your performance in that particular day. But particularly in terms of research, you should make daily priority lists and weekly priority lists, so that you can keep a check on you, and then you can further evaluate your pace and your speed in terms of the research that you are conducting. Then we move to the most important step of conducting a research. Obviously, before you go on and conduct the research, you need to select a topic. And the topic selection is, in some of the cases it is said that if you have selected the topic, so this means that half of your research is done. So for the topic selection, you can rely, you can anchor your topic on your previous knowledge and the course contents that you have been studying, and then you can also consider your personal or professional experiences and your personal and professional interests as well. Because if you don't have interest, or if you don't have any experience of that particular area or that particular topic, then you will have to face a lot of difficulties. So it is better to always move into an area that is the area of your expertise, so that if there are some complications, if there are some problems, so you do not feel isolated, and you do not feel compressed in terms of the pressure. So you should be, if because if you are in the area of your expertise, then if something unexpected happens, so you somehow manage to get out of that. But if you are already alienated, and the topic is new for you, the procedures are new for you, so then you may have to face a lot of difficulties. And then when you are in the phase of the topic selection, you should ask the following questions, and the famous WH questions: who, what, where, when, and why. Now I mean, by this I mean that you should be asking this question: okay, what is it similar to or different from, and what are the causes, what are the consequences, and what is the essential function of that topic, what are the definitions, what is the history, what is the present status, and what case can be made for or against it, and how did it happen, and why did it happen, and what is my personal reaction to it. Now my when I was a student, my supervisor, when I was selecting my topic, so he told me one simple thing. He said, okay, you should be knowing the three W's about your research: what, why, and how. Like, what are you going to do, and how you are going to do that, and why you are going to do that. What, why, and how. So these three questions you should be inevitably, in any case, you have to ask these three questions about your research paper. And then within the topic you have to identify the subtopics as well. And once you have selected a topic and you have listed down the subtopics, then you need to go for the brainstorming strategies. And by brainstorming means that you are freely, in a freestyle, you are collecting and gathering the ideas. For that you can make a list of whatever comes in your mind. You can develop a mind map, you can develop a map, different kind of flow charts, different kind of diagrams. And then the next strategy can be free writing, where you just take a pen and a page and you start writing whatever comes in your mind. And then it basically opens different channels, it opens different avenues for you. And then it makes, you find a workability, and you find a researchability in your topic. And then the best way to brainstorm, or the best way to get a better understanding of your topic, is to visit the libraries. You can browse the Drake Memorial Library website. That's a very famous website. You can go for the Library Genesis, and you can go for like HEC e-library. You can tour the campus library. You can meet with a reference librarian in different public libraries or in different universities, and you can learn the difference between the scholarly journals and the other periodicals. Now this is something very important. And then from libraries, from visiting different educational and academic powerhouses, you can locate different sources that are helpful for you in your research. And then blindly believing on to whatever you are studying in different books is not what a researcher does. You have to survey the sources as well. And in order to survey the resources, you have to read the abstracts, you have to read different headings and subheadings of different papers. You need to make notes of different charts, different statistics, different graphs. and you have to read the reference lists of different research papers, the bibliographies, the work cited portion of different research journals, different theses, different research projects, different research reports, and then you need to read the introductory and summary paragraphs of different research papers and different projects as well. And then you can instead of reading the research papers or the thesis extensively, if you can just skim it out, so that skimming can be enough for the start, and then later on you can decide that what are the areas that you need to explore in depth, and then what are the areas that can be neglected for a while. Then the important thing is that sometimes it happens during the research that the students they feel distracted from their topics, and they face this issue that I should skip this and I should do that, and I should not do this and do that. So what you need to do is that you need to go back to your original subject and focus it further based upon the information you have gleaned during the text survey activities, and then it will basically help you out in further refining your topic. You will feel that your topic is better now, it has been refined, and now it is researchable and doable, and then eventually you will feel that you are developing your interest into that topic as well. And then what you need to do is, in order to do your research in a better way, you need to read. And read once, read right. So this means that first you read it, and then you read it again, and while you're reading it again, you are writing the important points out of that document as well. You should take notes as you are reading, and you should develop a system of underlining, marking, or paraphrasing in the margins that is meaningful to you, so that you don't have to face any kind of difficulty later on. And you can discover you should discover a preliminary thesis statement as well, because forming a thesis statement or question is very important, because it will guide the rest of your research and writing. By thesis I mean that you should be having a standing point, or you should be having your own stance, or your own claim, or your own statement about that topic, that what you actually want to say, what is your belief, or what is your standing into that topic. So once you have focused the topic and you have asserted something, you have developed your understanding, you have developed your own mental schema out of that, so that basically gives you a thesis. And how can you do that? First of all, you select a topic. For example, the topic is environmental issues connected to global warming. Let's say that is the topic. Now within that topic you select a focus topic. By focus topic I mean that you narrow it down. Let's say out of the environmental issues there are hundreds and thousands of environmental issues. So let's say out of that you have selected the coal fires. Now within that coal fires you will develop your thesis question or your research question, and that can be like, how prevalent are the coal fires, and in what ways do coal fires contribute to global warming, and what proof is there that coal fires in fact contribute to global warming. So that kind of thesis question you develop. And then within that thesis, once you have posed a question, once you have posed a research question, then you try to come up you try to come up with your own thesis statement. Like for example, raging in mines from Pennsylvania to China, coal fire threatens towns. Now this is the thesis statement: threatens towns, poisons air and water, and add to global warming. So now that is your understanding. That is environmental issues connected to global warming is the major topic, and within that you focused on the coal fires, you posed questions, and then you came up with your own tentative answer to that question, which is basically a thesis statement that you are going to test through different research processes, where you will collect some data, you'll check it, you'll analyze it, you'll put it through different research processes, and then whatever the findings will be, then you'll tally it, you'll compare it with your own thesis statement. So this is how we do the research. Let's come up with another example. Let's say the topic is technology and consumerism. So the focus topic can be the way television impacted consumerism within the nuclear family from the mid 50s to the early 60s. Within that, you can pose this thesis question that how did television target nuclear families and promote specific consumer habits and values. Now that is the thesis question, and against this thesis question, your thesis statement can be that the television programs and advertisements during the 1950s promoted consumer habits that promised to support domestic happiness within the nuclear family. And then further on, you can move on and you can collect some data through different research tools, and then you can compare it with your thesis statement, whether your thesis statement was correct or wrong. And these are the examples, some of the examples of thesis statements. For example, although companies now then you need to come up with a with a with a proper statement, not just a simple sentence. You can just stop here for a while, for a minute, and read all of these thesis statements, so that you can have an idea that how basically you should be writing your thesis statements. For example, although companies often have legitimate concerns that lead them to monitor employees' internet usage, from expensive security breaches to reduced productivity, the benefits of electronic surveillance are outweighed by its costs to employees' privacy and autonomy. That's one thesis statement. And then much maligned and the subject of unwarranted fears, most bats are harmless and highly beneficial. Understanding the limitations of medical treatment for children highlights the complexity of childhood obesity problem in the United States and underscores the need for physicians, advocacy groups, and policymakers to search for other solutions. And reaching in minds from Pennsylvania to China. So that kind of thesis statements you can come up with. And then once you have done all of this homework, so after that you need to develop an outline. So outline is basically in the previous lectures I was telling you about how to develop the outlines and how to write down the definitions. So if you have not checked that lecture, you can go and check that lecture. So in outline, you basically need to make a list of the main points, and these points will form the organizational pattern of your paper. They will develop a flow, and they will decide the nature of the research that you are going to conduct. And you can make special note of concepts from your sources that you wish to paraphrase in your text. And then you can after doing all of this, you can draft an outline, moving from the main ideas to the details. And if it needed, you can revise the thesis statement, and you can revise the important areas of your research as well. And now that's again an example of how you can develop the thesis outline. Let's say the thesis statement is that television programs and advertisements during 1950s promoted consumer habits that promised to support domestic happiness while strictly defining gender roles within the nuclear family. Now, first of all, you need to come up with introduction. And in introduction, you'll talk about the backgrounds and stats on television viewing habits, as well as the number of television purchased. That will basically lead to the thesis. And then at number 2, you will explore point number 1, and that is who are the target of your research, and that is basically the nuclear family. And then within that nuclear family, you'll talk about who and what, I mean how many members and what are their gender roles. And then within gender roles, we will talk about the male adults and children and female adults and children. Then the members, and then what are their gender roles, and then what are their values. In values, their values at home, their values of convenience, and their values of prosperity. Then you will move towards point number 2, and you will talk about the television shows, where you will give the specific examples. And then you will link it with the gender roles and expectations. You will link it with family values. In family values, the values at home, values of prosperity, and the values in terms of ideal consumer habit that helps maintain status quo regarding gender. And then you will move, after television shows, you will move towards the commercials, where you will give specific examples in terms of the gender roles and how they are promoting consumer patterns, and then how they are equating it with happiness. and then finally you can go for the conclusions. So this is how you can develop an outline, and then further following that outline you can move on writing your whole research paper. So how to develop the draft? You have to begin to write in chunks of text defined by the parameters of each main point, and you need to continuously refer to the thesis in order to stay on the track, because if you're not linking everything with your main topic, then the chances are that you may feel distracted, and once you are distracted from your topic, then it is very difficult for you to maintain the pace. So you can use the key terms from the thesis to thread each section together, and you should be integrating information from the sources as you draft, and you should be including the parenthetical citations as well. And you should be moving from point to point rather than from author to author, because if you will move from author to author, so it will become a very different kind of work, and it will not be a research paper. And then the important thing is that to validate your stance, to strengthen, and to I would say that to make it a research or academic point of view, you need to integrate different sources, because research papers, they demand abundant references to professional sources. And why do we do that? Because your research paper will be generously populated with the voices of the published experts, and if those experts are not uh, uh, they don't have the they don't if they don't have the aligned point of view with your point of view, then your research paper will lose the significance and the scope. So your job is just to manage those voices, to synthesize them, and to use them to substantiate your claim. So you should only be mentioning those stances, those point of views, and those I would say that those rationales that are in the favor of your point of view. Now, how can you integrate different sources? You can use a variety of lead-ins to introduce concepts or findings from the researchers, and that we will be discussing in the upcoming lectures as well, where I'll tell you how to give the references, what are the in-text citations and the end citations. But just to mention this, you can start like according to Smith, and then you can move on like the presence of the television set in the home, even change eating habits, frozen TV dinners, TV trays, and TV tables altered the physical and the social context of the family meals. And by the early 1960s, 90% of all household had at least one television set. Okay, so that's said by Bishop and Marx in 2006. And television programs and commercials reinforced rigid gender roles and promised consumers material wealth if they could fit the roles. One social critic from the era remarked that television centrally nurtured both consumerism and conformity. Then you should be having a revision checklist, and by revision checklist I mean that you should reread the assignment sheet, that what was the actual topic, and then you should underline your thesis, you should read it aloud, you should label the topic of each paragraph in the margin, and then you should revise the main ideas if they are required, and you should consider the clarity and relevance as the most important parts of your research paper, and then you should revise the details considering the clarity and relevance factors. You should check your research paper or your draft for cohesion and documentation format that we will be discussing in the next lecture, and you should check for the grammar, punctuation, word choice, and the spellings as well. And if wherever you are stuck, wherever you feel yourself under the water, you can take help from your professors, from the different librarians. You can talk to your writing tutors, you can meet with different content tutors, and you can seek help from the models of successful research papers. And generally you will find a lot of reference material or helping material in your campus library, and you can talk to your supervisor and your relevant subject teachers as well. So today we talked about the writing process, and if you have any questions, any confusions in your mind, or if there is anything that you want to add or you want to express, or even if you have some experiences related to writing research papers that you would like to share with your class fellows. So the comment box is open for you. You can use that and you can initiate discussion and debate there as well, and I'll read your comments and I'll try to answer them as well. And you can note down your questions with you, and you can ask those questions from me during the class hours as well, and I'll be very happy to answer all of your questions. So that's all for today, and in next class we'll talk about the official format of writing the reports, and that is going to be again a very important lecture. So take care of yourself. Thank you for listening to me so actively and attentively. Allah Hafiz.